Today on Northern Revolutions, I got some VCLT in the mail. We're going to open it up and take a look and see what it is. Stay tuned. Hey, Vada community, welcome to Northern Revolutions. I'm Rob. Welcome back if you're returning. Welcome if you're new. As I mentioned in the intro, I got some VCLT in the mail. Pretty hefty package. I knew this was coming. This was a package from my good friend Matt at Prime Analog Records. I'm going to leave a link in the description. Please check out Matt's channel. As a wonderful channel, broad taste in music, an eclectic taste in music, incredibly knowledgeable. The man probably has forgotten more about music than I know. And he also does some great videos. He does cooking videos where he talks about records while he's cooking. It's fantastic. Matt is also an incredibly talented photographer. He's been trying to educate me on the ins and outs of video production. I have the equipment to do it, but to me it is bloody rocket science. So a year and a half into this YouTube thing, I'm still shooting on an iPhone, and Matt just shakes his head every time. Nevertheless, please check out Matt's channel. He sent me this package, and he told me he was sending me something. I don't know what it is, so I'm going to open it up. We'll take a look at the records, and then I'm going to come back after I've listened to them and give you my thoughts on them. If I know Matt, I can hazard a guess what's in here. I'm going to guess that there's some Gino Vanelli, and there's probably some Jaco Pastorius. But I don't know. Let's see what happens. Let's open this up. Matt packages these incredibly well. There is 5 records in here. I'm probably not going to know what these are. So here we go. Weather report. Heavy weather. I don't know anything about this other than these guys are kind of like a jazz fusion kind of rock band, I guess. This is a half-speed master. Don't know anything about it. Came out in '77. Cool. Matt packages these incredibly well. Nice inner sleeves in them too. Thanks, Matt. This album I know. George Benson, Weekend in LA. I say I know it. I am familiar with it. Do I know it well? No. I've heard it maybe once or twice. So yeah, live album by the sounds of it. Recorded live at the Roxy in Hollywood. 30th of September, 1st and 2nd of October, '77. I love live albums, so I think I'm going to enjoy this one. What did I say that Matt was going to send? Gino Vanelli and Gino Vanelli. Okay, so before I even look at what those are, Gino Vanelli is a Canadian. He's from Montreal. I do a lot of videos on Canadian music because that's kind of my thing. You know, I think I'm the unofficial ambassador of Canadian music in the VC. And I did a video like well over, I'd only been in the VC a few months, so almost a year and a half ago now, where I was talking about some Canadian records, and Matt just lambasted me in the comments. Like, he fed me my ass for dinner, because how could I not include Gino Vanelli in my list of Canadians? And I said to him, I'm like, dude, I didn't list every Canadian. I just listed a handful that I am currently listening to. But he just took me to task about how I could not include Gino Vanelli. So it's always kind of been a running joke that, I was bugging him about that. So I'm not surprised that this is in here. Listen, Matt is a big Gino Vanelli fan. Listen, man writes good songs. I'm only familiar with some of his radio hits from back when I was a kid, like Wild Horses. He's had a long career. He's still going. So Matt has sent me The Gist of the Gemini and Brother to Brother. I don't know either of these albums. I don't know if I know any songs on them, but I am going to listen to them and see if I can appreciate why Matt loves Gina Vanelli as much as he does. And the last one, Dan Potter, Over the Rainbow. Don't know anything about this. So, this is good. Matt has curated for me a handful of records that he thinks I would appreciate and that he thinks would broaden my musical horizons. And I like that. So I'm going to listen to all of these over the next few days, and I'll get back to you on what my thoughts are. All right, everybody, I'm back. It's been a few weeks since I received those records from Matt at Prime Analog Records, and I wanted to live with them for a while. I wanted to listen to them more than once. I wanted them to sort of marinate, if you will. Those records are far out of my wheelhouse, and I think that's why Matt sent them, and I really appreciate that. That was something my dad always used to do, was try and push me out of my comfort zone and expose me to new stuff. And I think that was what Matt was trying to do too. So thanks, Matt. I do appreciate that. The only way we discover music is, the suggestions of other folks. So I liked that. So because Matt took the time to go through his collection, find some things that he thought I would appreciate, I felt that it deserved more than just a cursory listen. So I've lived with these records for a few weeks, and I thought I would give you my thoughts on each of them. I'm going to start with the one that I liked the best and work through. I'm not surprised this was my first preference. George Benson, Weekend in LA. I knew who George Benson was, but wasn't overly familiar with his music. I really enjoyed this. It's a live recording, number one. I love live recordings. Little jazzy, little funky. I will say I didn't know many of the songs in here. The standout for me, and I think from what I've read, became really a staple of his live show, is his cover of The Drifters on Broadway. Boy, does that cook. I loved it. It's great. I mean, I liked the Drifters version, but his is even better. Loved this. I loved the atmosphere of this show. It felt like a fairly intimate live performance. I don't think the Roxy's a very big club, and that kind of showed through it. It had that sort of ambiance to it. Just loved it. This, I think, will be something that I listen to with some regularity. The next one, I think, is probably the furthest out of my comfort zone. Weather Report, Heavy Weather. Remember I said before I opened the package there'll probably be some Jaco in here, Jaco Pastorius? Well, he's on this. I didn't know that at the time when I opened this, because I know who Jaco is and I understand his place in music, but not familiar with his body of work. So played bass on this album. This is it's a jazz record, jazz rock, I guess. Definitely unlike anything that I have listened to in the past or that I own. My dad would have loved this because he was into a lot of this kind of stuff. I enjoyed it. I can't say anything intelligent about it because I'm not well versed enough. But this was kind of, I put it on. I enjoyed it. Anytime I had it on, I really liked putting it on as I'm sitting at my office doing work. Just an enjoyable listen. I can't say anything more than that, but enjoyed it. Next up, I mentioned I had no idea who Dan Potter was. This man has a very impressive catalog of work. Singer-songwriter, producer in Nashville. Apparently, he's been a longtime producer of Winona Judd, and apparently he's credited as the man who crafted the Judd sound, apparently, from what I read from multiple sources. But the amount of people that he has played acoustic and electric guitar for, the list is as long as my arm. You can look it up yourself, but pretty impressive people. When I sort of did my initial Google search on who is Dan Potter, because for context, I did not know who he was. I'd seen a few YouTube performances, and it looked like a guy in the 70s playing a 12-string acoustic, and they were very sort of boring. So I thought, man, is this what this is going to be like? And granted, there are a few songs like that on here. Gray-haired young man. And I'm like, oh boy, I hope the whole record's not like this. And it's not. There's some other songs that are fantastic. Unchain My Heart, fantastic. Dan plays a mean Fender Stratocaster. He's a great guitar player. So there's some really good songs here and some other songs that, I could do with not hearing again. But on the whole, pretty impressed with this guy. I would like to explore a little more of his body of work because holy man, has he done a lot of stuff. Which of course brings us to Gino Vannelli. So Matt gave me 2 Gino Vannelli records, Gist of the Gemini and Brother to Brother. Now, full disclosure, I was a little biased against Gino Vannelli, I have to say. I had a certain preconceived notion of him being a child of the 80s, having listened to a lot of AM radio when I was a kid, heard a lot of Gino Vannelli, and the stuff that I remember as a kid did do it for me then, doesn't do it for me now. Just cheese was the preconceived notion that I had in my head. And on Brother to Brother, yes, that's what this was to me. This had his big hit on here, which is called I Just Want to Stop. I think that was his biggest hit. This is his 6th studio album, and I think that was his biggest hit. And to me, that's what I remember Gino Vannelli for, that 80s cheese. I don't think it's, sorry, Matt, I don't think it's very good because I heard it so much in the 80s along with the other shit that was played on AM radio. So, whatever. But Gist of the Gemini, which I think was the album before Brother to Brother, or maybe 2 albums before, this is really good. This was before Gino sort of went into that top 40 mold. This was good. This was co-produced by Jeff Emmerich, who worked with the Beatles at one point in time. I liked this record. There was some ingenuity to it, some great songs. This was not the Gino Vannelli that I remember from being a kid. So I enjoyed this much more than Brother to Brother. So there you go. Matt, thank you for sending me these albums. I enjoyed the experience. I really did. I know my old man would be kind of smiling, nodding his head that someone's pushing me out of my classic rock Canadian singer-songwriter kind of pattern that I'm perpetually in. So I'm sure the old man would be happy about that. But you know what? I've discovered some new stuff out of this that some of it I will listen to some of the time. Some of it I will listen to quite frequently. So thank you for that. I've got some great ideas of a couple things that I want to send to you, Matt. I just, there's one record in particular that I'm just trying to track down so that I can send it your way. But thank you so much. I appreciate that. Please, everybody, check out Matt at Prime Analog Records. Thank you for watching, everybody. Catch you on the flip side.